mark 25 years of ASEAN-Korea relations, and it's very lively, and so it just make my presentation more lively and colorful as we try to celebrate this 25 years of our relations. So I want to start first with the statement of purpose, why this issue is very important, because between ASEAN and Korea relations, we have a lot of exchange. Korea is the third largest trading partner for ASEAN, and ASEAN is the sources of the FDI, and also the people-to-people exchanges that we have in many kinds, such as the tourism. We have a lot of tourists, and ASEAN is like the destination for the Korean tourists. And we have the labor migration, which is quite problematic now in Korea. And we have the middle-age migration. And ASEAN, such as Malaysia, like some countries, such as Malaysia, is the destination for the Korean retirees. So this is the people-to-people exchange that we have. And the last one, which is like need to fulfill the gap, is about the academic exchanges. So I choose this as the main reason that I try to conduct a research on this, and I choose the case of Korea Foundation as the case. Yeah, this is the preliminary literature review, because we have a lot of PD's article, especially from Professor Snow and Professor Sahana, that talk about the relation of public diplomacy by stressing on the communication and relationship building, and I think it fits to this research topic. And then I try to address about some cases, such as Yang 2015, about the Jean Monnet's programs in China that conducted interview of the professors and students in China who participate in the Jean Monnet programs about the influence. So I think I try to choose this case as the case that I try to learn for the methodology and for the results. And yeah, about the Korea's public diplomacy, in this paper we used the Professor Kim Tae-hwan's Korea's public diplomacy conceptualization as the analytical framework to this, and the last group is about the ASEAN-Korea relations in general. So this is my research design. I have two research questions. The first is about why and how Korea Foundation implement the programs to ASEAN people. And the second is like how these programs influence to the participants. And this brought to the objective of the research. The first one is about I try to identify the characterization of Korea's public diplomacy. And the second one is about the practical analysis. And this can be another case that contributes to the public diplomacy discussion on the case that we use educational programs as a part of public diplomacy. So I add this. And the last one, yeah, as a fellow who received a scholarship from Korea Foundation, I want to provide some policy recommendations, not recommendations, it's just a big word, so just suggestions and the results from this research. And the way I try to analyze and conduct the research, I apply the Professor Kim Tae-hwan's and the perception analysis of PACMEN 2015 and 2013 about the perception analysis that he stresses on how can we measure the influence through the survey and attitude, and he tried to like mash up how can we measure the influence in PD programs. So I use this and I changed a little bit from the abstract in the handbook that you can see. And the methodology is the documentary analysis, the authentic interview, and yeah, the participatory observation. So the sampling is these two programs. The first program is the KF ASEAN Fellowship for Korean Studies, which firstly established in 2013. And the second is the KF ASEAN Korea Workshop, which is the first program that Korea Foundation worked together with the ASEAN Korea Center as a partner. And I try to find the way why and how the Korea Foundation implement these programs and how this is important and why these groups of people. And I choose the participant, the representative of each country as like the main respondents, because due to the limitation of time and like many restrictions, so I choose the students, some participants, and for the KF ASEAN, I try to collect the data from every respondent, but it seems like 3 or 4 can respond the research. And yes, sorry that it's in Korean. So it's a Professor Kim Tae-hwan's the Korea's public diplomacy about the he proposed that the Korea's public diplomacy was created from the sources of soft power, such as the K-pop, such as the knowledge diplomacy, and Korean studies is a part of this. As Korean studies diplomacy can be promoted as the way to build the relations with some countries, and especially this statement was stated by Professor Yoo Hyun-sok, the former president of Korea Foundation, and currently our ambassador to Malaysia. The reason why the KF started this program because they see like the increasing engagement between ASEAN and Korea, and Korean studies can be good tools, diplomatic tools that can bridge these two regions together. And this is my result when I compare the two cases. From the subject, I mean like the partner, the reason why Korea should choose the network, the first one is the Korean Studies Association of Southeast Asia, the KOSASA. This one is the first stage of the selection process that they have to pass like the application of the fellowship. So they try to, Korea Foundation is trying to not outsource but delegate this association to help them, because the KOSASA has an expertise and like a strong network in the region in Southeast Asia. So Korea Foundation asked this network to help them. And another one is the KF ASEAN Korea Workshop. So ASEAN Korea Center is one of the partner from Korea Foundation, because yeah, KF like ASEAN Korea Center has a very long experience in organizing any activities relating to ASEAN and studies. Yeah, and the resource, yes, is clear from the KF ASEAN Fellowship that is the language and academic, and from the ASEAN Korea Center is about the values, culture, and arts. And I said, yes, it's clear, as I mentioned, that Korean studies diplomacy, knowledge diplomacy, and the way that the Korea Foundation tries to communicate. In this paper, I consider the public diplomacy as a mode of communication or communication process. And the way Korea is trying to communicate is two-way symmetrical. They try to engage with other participants by organizing a forum or conference that asks the opinions that can hear from others, from what ASEAN people is thinking, and the object, because they want to build a network and a long relationship building with the opinion leaders and main public through the ASEAN people staying in Korea. And this is the second research question I have about how to measure the influence of the participants. So I picked from comments 2015 and 13 on the perception models that we try to use to survey attitudes to check the reputation management. However, still a question here is that because I argue that Korea's public diplomacy derived from the soft power, but soft power in this comments model is for the outcome models. So I try to argue in my paper, which I'm writing, that this model can be exchanged or can be expanded to build like a mashup or mix-up of the model, not just like, oh, let's use this for reputation management, something like that. So this is the way. So this is the example of the attitude or perception, because the perception is really important, how they perceive what are you going to do as a friend, right? When your friends are giving you a gift or something to you, how do you perceive it? You perceive it as something that always valuable, or it's just, hey, are you thinking about hidden agenda or something like that? So the perception is really important, and this is some of the perception. Some say that, yeah, this is about building a long-term relationship. Like one respondent cannot see any influence, but they can see that this is very important for the future networking, because out of the participants, the KF ASEAN fellows, they have to come back to their universities and teach Korean studies. So this is the way that Korea Foundation is trying to build a network, like build a certain network in the future. And some participants, I mean 2 of 4, clearly expressed that this fellowship is a means to facilitate the spread of Korean culture and knowledge concerning Korea as a nation. And okay, and this is from another program about the KF ASEAN Korea workshop. as you can see that some participants, they say that obviously economic partnership, tourism, and ODA, which is the key of the Korea public policy is trying to express to the public. So this is the way that Korea is trying to do. And I try to frame their ideas, and I ask one question. If I ask you to give 3 words for after joining the program, which word are you giving? So most of them giving this word about insights, sharing, engagements, interactive, and interestingly, the words that our participants mentioned is public diplomacy. Yeah, and this is a discussion, so I just want to pass it as the evidence that I joined the participatory observation for these programs at the Inter-Korean Transmission and Hwajin-Po Beach. And the way to think about it is like Korea's public policy, why and how. Because it seems like from the Kim Tae-won's is about the create message from the soft power. And the one key I want to present here is about the institutionalization. Korea Foundation has like different character between among the Korea's public diplomacy actors because Korea Foundation is institutionalized. Even the government has changed, Korea Foundation is still working on it. And this is the character that Korea Foundation is a strength of Korea Foundation, and it's very important part when we talk about sustainability in running any educational programs. And the second is about educational programs in public diplomacy. Because when I first think about this program, it's about we pay a lot, but we have uncertain return. So we have to rethink about it, and I think it will exchange later when we have the Q&A session. And the last one is the limitations of research, because I cannot say that my research represents the whole participant's attitude. And this is the last part that I have about the implications for theory and practice. Because many scholarships talk about the soft power and public diplomacy. So I have a question on antecedents of soft power, like it's about the chicken and egg problems that what occur first. And I argue in my paper that soft power has an interaction with PD, and then PD creates soft power, and it's the circle and interaction. And the second is how can we articulate or how can we measure influence in PD? And I propose in my paper that we have now the new media, and we can apply new media as part of evaluating the new PD. And the last one is about the future research. The 4 topics, 4 possible topics that we can have in the future. The first one, as I take from Dr. Kadi's idea about the measurement of economic values of PD, because some may feel that why we have to pay a lot for this, and we have to measure economic values that it's paid in this country, so what do you think about it? And the cross-country analysis. And I want to propose public diplomacy mix. As we have energy mix, how we use coal and at the same time, and how can we have the public diplomacy mix? It's about the organizational problems. Can we have ODA for 20%, the educational programs for 40%? And this is, the future discussion that we can have about future research. And the last one is, the basic question about what is public diplomacy? And how about public diplomacy for North Korea? What it will look like, and why North Korea doesn't have public diplomacy? So, yes, as we are friends, so I'm we are friends. And I want to end my presentation here. Thank you very much.